So welcome friends to the 53rd class of the Bhagavad Gita. And as you all know, we took a month-long break because I was on Kailash Mansarovar Yatra. And we shall discuss more about the Yatra after we finish today's class. And in the Gita, before I left for the pilgrimage, we finished till chapter 6. So we have finished 1/3 of the Bhagavad Gita. And the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita are more focused about us, about who we are as the Atman, and even as embodied souls, what is our karma, and how should we behave, what should be our attitude, and what is the knowledge that we should try to gain. So it is surrounding more of us. When we say, thou art that, so the first 6 chapters actually are focused on the thou, means actually us. And the second 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, according to Vedanta, are more focused on that. On that means on God. And on God, when we say God, we are meaning to say Sagun Brahman, means which is the absolute formless reality, which has also come down as an avatar in the form of the body of Krishna. So from the infinite Krishna consciousness to the body of Krishna. So the next 6 chapters will talk mostly about that one absolute reality, which is both Nirgun as well as Sagun. That means which is both formless and attributeless, and yet it is with form, with a name, with a function, and is operating in this universe. And the last 6 chapters are telling us how to realize that thou art that, means how to realize that I am that infinite reality. So this is a rough outline, and because we finished the entire chapter last time, it is good that before we get on to chapter 7, it's good that we recuperate, we revise what we did. In brief, let's discuss what happened in chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita. So I've just divided them arbitrarily in the form of verses according to the themes that were taken in chapter 6. In verses 1 to 9, basically, Krishna is saying to Arjuna that a real yogi is not someone who renounces outward action, but one who acts without attachment to the results. Now, this particular statement of Nishkam Karma has been repeated already multiple times, and you will find that in the Gita, it will be repeated more and more times. So if you remember chapter 4, again, Krishna had advised Arjuna that if you must renounce the fruits of action, because anyway, you have no right over the fruit of action. And again, in this chapter, Krishna is saying the same thing. Now, even though this has been repeatedly said by Krishna, we have to ask ourselves this question, that have we realized this? Have we understood what Krishna is saying to us? Have we truly renounced the fruits of our action? Have we surrendered to God in the sense saying, God, I will do my best, but I trust you and I rely on you, and I know that you will give me the fruits that I need and that are obviously in tune with what my karmic pattern is. So have we renounced? So ask yourself, are you still desiring certain specific outcomes from whatever you are doing? That if I will do this, then I should have that. This is what I expect out of my work. This is what I expect out of this universe. This is what I expect out of the people around me. If we are still living in this, that means we need to revise again all of the first 6 chapters. But if we have to some degree been able to detach ourselves from the expectancy that we have from this world, this universe, and the people around, and even from the work we do, then we have progressed to some extent. So this is for each one of us to judge within ourselves. Okay, so then also in the first 9 verses of chapter 6, Krishna says that renunciation or karma sannyasa and karma yoga are both aspects of the same path. So when he said karma sannyasa, he's talking about the monks who have renounced all worldly ties, have renounced worldly duties, and they are seeking God in their own way. And on the other hand is the householder who is following the path of karma yoga, and that he is saying that both of these paths will lead to the same final goal. And then he says, also important here is that the inner renunciation. So for the karma yogi, for the householder, although he is engaged in outward activity, he is also a sannyasi in the sense that he has renounced the fruits of his action. And a householder is a very important character in this worldly play. Let us not, now many people think that, oh, I am a householder, and then probably the monks are much, much greater than what I am. The householder plays a very, very important function in the world. It is on the householder that all the dependents of the world rely. And dependents means not only small children, but also elderly people, but also all those who renounce worldly duties, like all religious organizations, the monks, the nuns, or they are all supported because the householder is engaging in active daily labor. But the important thing is, in engaging in that labor, is he bound to his work or is he free in his work? And that is where the karma bhoga and the karma yoga come in. So know that you are an important part of the worldly affair, and that you play a significant role in maintaining and sustaining your world as you see around it. But that does not mean that you have pride in it, but rather you say, okay, God has put me in this place. This is the duty that I need to do, and I will do it by giving up all fruits of action to the Lord. I depend completely on the Lord, and I care not what I get in return, but lovingly and willingly I will do my part in this world. Then Krishna goes on to say that a true yogi sees all beings with equality, whether a friend or a foe, whether a saint or a sinner. In fact, even the sentient and the non-sentient, he sees a lump of clay and gold as the same. So it's just that the saint has developed that vision of oneness which underlies all variety, and he is able to see, although he sees ice, water, fluid, liquid water, and steam as different aspects, but yet he knows that they all represent the same one reality of the H2O molecule. They are just a variegated appearance. The origin is the same and the essence is the same. In shlokas 10 to 17 of chapter 6, Krishna now gives specific instructions to Arjuna for meditation, for dhyana. And he says that you must go to a secluded spot, that you must look for a place which is comfortable, and you must sit in a particular way. You have to steady the body, you have to focus the mind, you have to look in a particular way. Even your asana has to have certain particulars. So he tells him how to actually go into meditation and the importance of meditation and so on. And then he also says that if you are able to control your mind, then you will go towards a state called samadhi. And then he explains what that is going to be. And not only does he say that you are to just meditate, go to a secluded spot and forget everything else. Yes, a part of your day you do that. But he also emphasizes on a balanced life. He, on the one hand, he says you are not to, be overindulgent in your senses. On the other hand, he says that you're not to be also extremist in your asceticism. So you're not to overeat, you're not to undereat, you're not to oversleep, not to undersleep, you're not to overwork and to underwork, because you have to have a balanced approach to life, because only then your mind will be calm enough to be able to be stabilized in meditation. For a person who's working too much or sleeping too less or eating too much, there will be so much restlessness in the body, in the breath, and in the mind that meditation is going to be next to impossible. And therefore, basically, Krishna is directing Arjuna towards a generally sattvic lifestyle. Okay. So in the next few verses, let's say from 18 to 32, Krishna says that if you withdraw yourself from the world, then what happens? He says the yogi attains peace by withdrawing the mind from all desires. So again, two important things have come here, that he says you need to withdraw yourself from desires, and desirelessness is what all the important religions of the world will tell you, if you have too many personal desires, then you must forget peace. If you want peace of mind, then you have to forego your unnecessary desires. You can modify your desires, come to a simpler life. Only then would you want to even think of a higher consciousness. So withdraw from desires. Once you do that, then what happens? Then when the mind is quiet and there is no craving and you are absorbed in the self, the yogi experiences divine bliss. So he is telling you immediately that if you are able to sit in meditation, you are leading a balanced life, you are withdrawing your mind from desires, then what are you going to gain? You are going to gain divine bliss, you are going to gain peace of mind. Do we want bliss and peace of mind? Yes, we want. Therefore, we must follow all these instructions that Krishna is giving to Arjuna. Through Arjuna, he is giving all those instructions to all of us. Once this joy is attained, the yogi doesn't crave anything else and is unmoved even in the greatest sorrow. So as we all know, the goal of life is to attain permanent bliss and to avoid all suffering. And this is the promise. This is, if you are able to follow these instructions, then you will gain a joy after having which you do not want the petty joys of the world. And also, even when the greatest of suffering, sorrows come, you will not suffer in that. So this is a promise that is Krishna is giving to Arjuna, that if you're able to control the mind, then you will be able to experience what your heart is truly desiring. Then he says that the state of samadhi, so when the mind is fixed, now you have quietened the mind and you have absorbed in the self, then it goes into a state of samadhi, and in the state of samadhi, you find an expansion of your human consciousness into divine consciousness, that you feel that oneness of your being with everybody. And this will happen in stages. So the lower state would be the savikalpa samadhi, that only when you are meditating and you have quietened your body, mind and breath, that you come to that awareness of you being the whole, or that omnipresence. But when you come down from meditation, you are back into the world, and again you see all variety, and again you get caught up. But the higher state would be when you get stabilized in this with more and more meditative practice, with more and more communion with God and samadhi state, you come to the realization 24/7, even while doing your normal daily activities, you come to realize this, that your consciousness and the consciousness of everything around you is one and the same. It is one continuum, and that there is no break. The variety is only superficial. The variety is only a movie-like projection, that of life is like a dream, and that the real essence is that quiet, that inner stillness that you now possess at all times during your waking hours. So that becomes, so this is the promise that Krishna is telling you, that you want to go beyond sorrow, you want to attain bliss, then this is the path that you must follow. Then Master says that, Krishna is saying to Arjuna in these verses, in this state, one sees the self in all beings and all beings in the self. So again, as a continuum, you see that everything is one, that everyone and everything is your own extended self. And this, once you realize this, then if you remember the second commandment of Jesus Christ, the first is, of course, love the Lord thy God with all your heart, mind, heart, and soul. The second is love thy neighbor as thyself. Now, once you are able to experience a continuum of you with all others, then it is so easy to love your neighbor as yourself, because you have actually experienced that everything is just one. So it becomes very easy to practice. So again, if Jesus has said that we must be like this, then he is also expecting, and he has also given in his teachings when he says, be still and know that ye are God. And he says that I am that I am. So when he's talking of these things, he's parallelly to what Krishna is saying, he's talking of a greater consciousness, greater than the limited human ego and consciousness. He's talking about that. And then if anybody sincerely follows any particular religious path with all heart, mind, body, soul, will come to the same realization, whether it is the Christian, whether it is the Hindu, whether it is the Muslim, whether it is a Buddhist. So these are also outward garbs. And so, but the essence of all religions is the same, that if we are able to go within ourselves, if we are able to settle the restlessness of which is our superficial nature, then we will go into the essence of our own being, and we will understand the oneness of all things, and we will manifest the divinity within us. And so such a yogi automatically, once you know that the other person is your own extended self, then such a yogi will automatically feel love and compassion for the others. Then the other person's joy and sorrow will be felt as one's own joy and sorrow, and one will be able to act accordingly. Then in shlokas number 33 to 36, so now after Krishna explains all of this, then Arjuna again comes up and he says, I agree to whatever you are saying, O Krishna, but I feel that the mind is so obstinate, it is so difficult to control, it is like the wind. And of course, we all have experienced this fact. And Krishna also says, yes, it is it is very difficult to control, but there are two ways in which you can control it. And one is abhyasa or practice, and the other is vairagya or dispassion. So if we can live in this world with dispassion, and the simplest definition of dispassion would be if we stop considering things as me and mine. If we just leave mine, anything which is around you, you have a house, you live in a house, you have people around you, just stop saying that they are yours, because that is the truth. Everything belongs to God. Everything is in a perfect order because of God's divine design. All souls that are around you are also because of God's plan and because of their own karma. And of course, they are right now in your orbit. But the moment you stop identifying all things and all people and all situations as not mine, all you have to do is just, and you don't have to keep affirming not mine, not mine, not mine. Just simply from your heart, if you just see them as an impersonal happening, as an impersonal thing or situation, you will find that it is easy to be dispassionate. Just keep reminding yourself that everything, every atom of this universe, every thought, every emotion, every situation, every circumstance, every problem, every solution, everything belongs to God. If you remember that, then you easily can be dispassionate about I, me, and mine, and then you will find that it is easy to control your mind. All the problem in the mind is because why this has happened to me, why should I suffer, this was mine but somebody else has taken it. So all the thoughts in the mind and the emotions in the heart are actually because of the I, me, and mine. If you can be impersonal, you will be reducing these, and you will be going towards yogas chitta vritti nirodha. So, and then comes abhyasa or practice. So simultaneously these two things will work, and as you can deepen your practices of meditation, deepen your devotion, deepen your prayer, deepen all your spiritual practices, and let go of everything of I, me, mine and the result, then you will find that you are living more and more in inner freedom, and you're moving more and more towards the goal. So, and of course, then Arjuna also asks that what happens if I'm not able to find perfection in this life? Then what will happen to me? Because on the one hand, I have left the world and I am detached from worldly affairs. On the other hand, I have yet not found my complete union with God. Then what happens to me? So in these verses, Krishna assures Arjuna, and he assures all of us. He says that no effort is ever wasted. Such a person is reborn into a righteous environment and continuous spiritual progress in the next life. So this is very, very reassuring that whatever we do, so now think of other things. If you earn a lot of money or property, or you have name, fame, when you leave this body, all of that will be left behind. So what is the real baggage that you're going to take with you is, of course, your own actions, but all the attitudes, plus the spiritual discipline that you have inculcated in yourself, the goodness that you have inculcated in yourself, how much you have purified your chitta by karma yoga, by bhakti, all of that is going to go with you wherever your destiny is next, whether it is into a next life, whether it is into a higher plane, or whether even if it is into complete moksha. So that is going to be the springboard for your next level of evolution. And the rest of it, which we consider important, things and clothes and food and houses and property and bank balance and all of that, that is going to become null and void just at the moment you take your last breath. So what is more important? You must carry that inner spiritual life, the strength that it gives you. Your connection with God is going to go on with you as you go from life to life till final freedom is attained. And therefore give proper importance and priority to what is more longer lasting. It is an act of viveka or discrimination, discernment, to be able to differentiate what is lasting or permanent and what is impermanent, temporary and ephemeral. Always stick to what is long lasting. You want long lasting peace, you want long lasting bliss, you want long lasting oneness, ever oneness with God. So therefore all your life should be organized in collecting these things, rather than collecting all the things that will stay only for a while, just for a few years, and then you will have to shed them all and move on. Okay. Now in verses, the last few verses, let's say 37 to 47, in 37 to 39, so Arjuna is asking that again, he continues to ask that exactly what happens. Does this person who is unable to achieve perfection, does he disperse just like a cloud or no? So then what does Krishna reassure further? He says, the one who sincerely strives, even if he falters, is never lost. So this is for all of us. It's a big reassurance for all of us. No spiritual effort is wasted. This has already been said. And a sincere yogi will never meet evil or downfall. So this is a very, very big reassurance. And that is why, if you remember in the autobiography, Babaji says that even a little bit practice of this religion will fear you from dire fears and colossal sufferings. This is an extract from the Gita. So if we are doing our meditative practices, then we are going to suffer less, because there is going to be less fear, less worry, less anxiety, less reactivity to sorrow. So we are going to be freer. Then he says, because of past, not only will such a person be born in a righteous and prosperous family so that he can continue his spiritual search, but his past samskaras will create a magnetism by which he will be compelled to move forward on the spiritual path. So I'm remembering a line from the Hanuman Chalisa where it says, Jahan Janma Hari Bhakta Kahai, means by singing the Hanuman Chalisa, by thinking of Ram and Hanuman, one can get moksha. But even if you don't get moksha, and even if you get another life, then wherever you are born, you will be called a Hari Bhakt because of the past devotion and samskaras that you have collected. Then you will still continue to be on the path of devotion and bhakti, and that bhakti will keep on giving you immense power and inner joy. So again saying, there is no loss on the spiritual path. Every little good thought that you have, every good action that you do, every intention that is towards goodness and towards harmony and towards love and joy, none of that is wasted. They are going to go with you as your treasure as you move forward into the cycle of lives and into moksha. And then the final shloka of chapter 6, Krishna says, among all yogis, the best is the one who surrenders fully to God with devotion. And then one previous shloka I would also say, in shloka number 46, Krishna says to Arjuna, O Arjuna, be thou a yogi. The yogi is better than the ascetic. The yogi is better than the scholar, and the yogi is better than the pure ritualist. So, and why is that? Because the yogi is following a step-by-step process of scientific evolution, and he can, can chart his path forward as to from where he was, with what methods he is going forward, and he is leading a balanced life. He is involving himself in meditation, in bhakti, in jnana, in karma, and therefore Krishna advises, be thou a yogi. And then he says, surrender to me with all your devotion. And when we are able to do that, then all our problems anyway are going to be taken care of, because we understand that all life belongs to Krishna. So, and now we will come to chapter number 7, and in this, Krishna will clearly start to now explain. He is now going to reveal who he is step by step to Arjuna according to his understanding. And so we will begin with verse number 1 from chapter 7. श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यसक्तमना पार्थ योगं युञ्जन्मदाश्रय असंशयं समग्रमां यथा ध्यास्यसि तच्छृणु। श्री भगवान ने कहा, हे पार्थ अर्जुन, अपने मन को मुझ में लीन करके, मुझ में शरण लेकर और योग के पथ का अनुसरण करके तुम मुझे समग्र रूप में मेरी संपूर्ण विभूतियों और शक्तियों के साथ बिना किसी संशय के किस प्रकार जानोगे, उसे सुनो। The blessed Lord said, O Parth Arjun, absorbing thy mind in me, taking shelter in me, and following the path of yoga, hear how thou shalt realize me beyond all doubt, in full completion, knowing me with all my attributes and powers. So, this is so beautiful that Krishna is now trying to reveal to Arjuna who he is, and he says, without a doubt you will know, and in completion you will know with all my powers. So do we all want to know who Krishna is, what Krishna is, where is he, and how do we connect to him? Yes, of course we want to know. So now there are very few people, if you look around yourself, there are very few people who have the same question as Arjuna, as to they want to know who God is, where God is, and is there a God in the first place. Now they are so involved in their own little egoic lives, in their likes, in their dislikes, and mainly in their likes and dislikes. I like this, so I'm going to keep doing this all the time. I don't like this, I'm not going to do this. So most of people's lives are engrossed in likes and dislikes, in a fight between vices and virtues. So how many people are really interested in God? Now just look around, and Ramakrishna Paramahansa would say that people will shed tears, so much tears, if they are not able to have children. People will shed so many tears if they are not able to get riches, or they are not able to find a partner, or so for so many other reasons in this world. But how many are there who will shed tears for God? And he who sincerely seeks God, he who can actually weep for God, is the one who is going to find God. And in this verse, Krishna gives 3 conditions. He's telling that how to find me. And he is saying the first is just to be absorbed in me. The second is to take refuge or to take shelter in me. And then he says, following the path of yoga. So what do we mean when Krishna is saying, be absorbed in me? What does that mean? So now let us just analyze as to where our mind is normally absorbed. Our mind is normally absorbed in the objects of this world. All our thoughts are about things, situations, people. Let consider people also as objects. Everything around you in the world, if you were to take it as an object, then all your mind is absorbed day and night in the thought of those objects. You are absorbed into the world. But Krishna is saying, be absorbed in me. So how do you do that? So by meditative practice, by dhyana, you turn your mind inwards. Once you turn your mind inwards, then you can focus on the bliss and the peace inside, and you can be absorbed in the bliss and peace inside. And what is bliss and what is peace? It is God. So the absorption in me, in Krishna, is clearly saying, instead of having an outward mind, turn it inwards and focus on me. The second thing he says is, take shelter or take refuge in me. And of course, we understand what it means. Ishvara Pranidhana means we must surrender to God. Now, surrender to God, interestingly, doesn't mean that we are losing control over our life. It is just an acknowledgement that we were anyway not in control of our life. If you analyze our own, bodies and minds, we are not in control of our breath. We are not in control of any of the organ systems that is working in our body. Thank God we are not in control, because if we were in command, I'm sure the system would shut down very soon. So we are anyway not in control of what is happening in the universe, what is even happening in the body. And most people are not in control of their own thoughts, of their emotions. And so surrender is simply an acknowledgement that we were never in control. So God might as well, whatever little false control I thought I had over myself, that also I give to you. And that does not mean that you are becoming a puppet again. So whatever a little role that you are playing, you don't play it passively. If we want to have happiness, and that is the goal for everybody, then we must proactively participate in this drama. So even though we surrender everything to God, we surrender our heart, mind, and strength to God, yet whatever we understand, we must participate with willingness, with joyfulness, with enthusiasm, so that God the Creator is also happy that his children, in spite of having known the truth, are going with the flow of the game of life, of the drama of life. So we must do our bit and yet simultaneously surrender. And that's what Krishna is saying, that you must take refuge in me, because anyway, if you think it otherwise, anyway, where else is our refuge? God is our only refuge. He is our creator, our sustainer, and into him we shall dissolve one day. So he is anyway our refuge. And the third is, of course, he says, follow the path of yoga. So what Master says is, I'll just read this out. He says, the path of yoga is the only means to reach the divine destination. So when we say the path of yoga, so yoga or union we mean automatically it includes the path of Raja Yoga, meditation, the path of Karma Yoga, or uniting your actions in selfless service. The path of Jnana Yoga is contemplating on your true nature or on the divine. And Bhakti Yoga is, in a sense, loving the divine completely. So the path of yoga is the only means to reach the divine destination. When one communes with the Lord, the technique of yoga has fulfilled its purpose. And then he goes on to say that emancipation is a sum total composed of the yogi's wholehearted effort, plus the guru preceptor's guidance and blessing, plus the grace of God. So these three important things, we know they are the spiritual equation. This is the spiritual mathematics. We have heard Yogananda ji says at other places that 25% is the disciples' effort, 25% is the guru's blessing, and 50% is God's grace. But when we say 25% is the disciples' effort, it is actually 100% of what we can give of ourselves. And it is a combination of these three. So now let's just think like this, that if it is God's grace on one hand and the disciples' effort, and actually the disciples' effort also comes by God's grace. So if everything is God's grace, but it is your very thirst for freedom that can compel God to actually free us. So that is why it is said that mumukshutva, that thirst for freedom, that yearning for freedom, and that inner understanding that there is something greater than this life, and that I am that part of that infinite life. That understanding and that continuous seeking, which should be unceasing. In Patanjali Yoga Sutras, we have heard Patanjali say that your spiritual effort should be unceasing, unbroken. So if you are doing that, putting in that 100% of what you can, and then of course God's grace is there. Why? Because it is said that, Master beautifully puts it. He says that the all-knowing Father yearns for the love of his children more than they want is affection. So beautifully he's putting, God's angle in front of us. Says we love God because we somewhere we feel that we are dependent on him, and he loves us, and therefore we must love him back. But it is said that God's love for us is greater than any affection that we can give to him. And this simile can be easily seen in the human life, not only human, in all, even in animal species, how much the parents do to protect their children, to provide for their children, and they love their children unconditionally. And it is never that the child's love can never be so much as to match the parents' love for the children. And so it is in the cosmic realm as well. Our cosmic heavenly Father has much greater love and affection and sense of protection for each one of us. We are his children, than we can ever, imagine or think of having for him. So if we know that our Father is a loving Father, then there's no place for fear. But yes, we need to be good children. We need to behave. We need to follow the prescribed, disciplines, and we need to lead a balanced life and to follow the path that has been prescribed by the scriptures. And God with open arms is waiting for each one of us so that, we can find our home back in him, our liberation back in him, as each one of us dissolves back into our own infinite essence. Okay. And another point that Master brings in here is that he says the way to acknowledge and to know him is by constantly keeping your attention on the holy vibration of Om. So once you can, in meditation, commune with the Om vibration, and we know that Om is the substance of all created matter, and from the Om vibration emanates the causal, the astral, and the physical universes. And by techniques of meditation which have been taught by Paramahansa Yogananda, we can go into that inner silence where we can attune ourselves with the cosmic sound of Om, which is the sound of the cosmic machinery. And when we are able to do that, he says that you can commune with God, because Om is God. According to Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Om is the name for God. And once you realize the oneness of Om vibration pervading everything, you also realize that imbibed in that Om vibration is the intelligence which is operating this world. So it is the Kutastha Chaitanya, or the Christ consciousness, is inside the Om vibration, or is inside the Holy Ghost vibration. And once you know that there is that God the Son, or the Kutastha Chaitanya, is inside the Om, then automatically you know that there is cosmic consciousness. So what do I mean when I say this? Now think of a mirror, and think that, visualize that you are looking into the mirror. Now the fact that there is a reflection in the mirror automatically means that there is a real face. The face that you see in the mirror is a reflection, but it automatically means that a real face exists. Now, even if the mirror and the reflected face are not there, the real face continues to exist. So why this is coming between Om and Christ intelligence is because Om is the mirror in which the Kutastha Chaitanya, or Christ intelligence, is reflected. So Christ intelligence, or Kutastha Chaitanya, is the reflection of God the Father, or cosmic consciousness. And Om is like the mirror. So this entire creation is the mirror in which God the Father, or the infinite absolute existence, is reflected through its own sun, which is the reflected consciousness. So by communing with Om vibration in meditation, you will be able to perceive Om and you will be able to perceive Tat and automatically understand the existence of Sat. Om, Tat, Sat, or God the Father, God the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So again, this is a major similarity between in the Hindu tradition and in Christianity. They are all pointing out to the same one truth. This brings us to shloka number 2, chapter 7. Jnanam teham savignanamedam vakshyam sheshata yajgyatva neha bhuyonya yajgyatavyam shishyate. मैं तुम्हें सैद्धांतिक ज्ञान तथा मात्र अंतर्ज्ञानात्मक अनुभूति से प्राप्त होने वाले ज्ञान के विषय में संपूर्णता से बताऊंगा, जिसे जानकर तुम्हारे लिए इस जगत में कुछ भी जानना शेष नहीं रह जाएगा. I shall relate to thee without omission both theoretical wisdom and that wisdom which can be known only by intuitive realization, knowing which not in this world will remain unknown to thee. So Krishna, out of his love and compassion, is saying to Arjuna, and he wants to reveal everything. To Arjuna is his friend, Arjuna is his disciple. And out of love and compassion, he wants to relate everything to Arjuna because it is the wish of Krishna that Arjuna not be lost in this delusion of ignorance. So that Arjuna does not fall again into delusion. Therefore, Krishna here is willing to explain to him everything. He says, not only will I give you theoretical wisdom, but I will also give you intuitive realization. This Krishna is saying to us. Now, in the first place, Krishna is with Arjuna because Arjuna has humbly asked for Krishna to be on his side. Now, apply this to yourself, to ourselves. Have we humbly asked the Lord to be by our side all the time? Have we made Lord Krishna the charioteer of the chariot of our body and mind and our life? If not, then where is our chariot going to go? It is going to go here and there and everywhere, but not to the goal. We are going to fall into pits. Sometimes the horses of the senses are going to take it somewhere else where we do not want to go. So again, ask yourself, how sincerely and how humbly and with how much thirst have I asked Krishna to be my charioteer? And let me tell you, Krishna is already our charioteer, but we don't believe it. We don't think that he is present and he is guiding us. And because we don't believe it, therefore we cannot turn to him with all our sincerity. When we are in trouble, we will do 10,000 other things. We will meet 10,000 other people, but we will not sit quietly in meditation and ask Krishna, oh Krishna, you are present within me right now. You are with me right now. What should I do? Please help me. So do we fall down on our knees in our mind and lovingly call upon Krishna to help us? No, but we just keep going on into the world. So again, a very, very important corrective here, because we are studying the Gita and because Gita must take us to moksha. Therefore, we must bring in these points again and again into our life. So Krishna will reveal to Arjuna everything only when Arjuna has lovingly asked him to. So we must lovingly ask Krishna to reveal himself to us, to reveal his presence to our being inside. My heart, my mind should be convinced that Krishna is with me. And when I think of Krishna, I'm not thinking that, oh, but Krishna was a body that was born 2,500 years ago. Where is he now? No. At this point in time, studying the Gita so far and being a disciple of a great master, we know that when we say Krishna, we are talking of Krishna consciousness. We are talking of the all-pervading, omnipresent essence of life rather than one body that was born many thousands of years ago. And that omnipresent consciousness is available to me right now, right here, whenever I want. Because it is my Father, it is my Creator, it is my all. But it is me who have turned away from this omnipresent intelligent consciousness, and I am too engrossed in the world, in my desires, attachments, likes and dislikes, I don't have time for Krishna. Krishna has all the time for me. So if I feel all alone in life and I don't feel that God is with me, that means the fault is not with God, the fault is with me. And therefore, I must bring in this corrective. I must practice the presence of God at all times by meditation, by prayer, by chant, by affirmation, by doing all the spiritual practice. And we have tons of spiritual practices that have been given to us by our Guru. So let us, gather up all our willingness, our willpower. Let us gather all that energy and focus it in the direction that we must. Because we want happiness, because we want peace of mind. And unless we do all of these things, these are not going to be possible. If we want to have moksha from suffering, then this is the pathway. It has been given to us. Let us simply walk on this. It is already laid down for us. So from today, we will call upon Krishna. We will affirm Krishna's presence all the time. And then Krishna will lovingly say to us that I am going to reveal to you the truth, which is going to set you free, which is going to make sure that you don't fall into delusion. And on the one hand, of course, there is theoretical wisdom and the other is experiential wisdom. And when then he says that I will give you a knowledge having which you will not need any other knowledge. So what does that mean? Is Krishna going to tell me about all the mathematical formulae of this universe, the entire calculus I will know, or the entire applied maths? I will know all the astronomy, I will know all physics, I will know all chemical formulae, I will know entire biology, the entire DNA structure of all the beings of this planet, I will know the entire geography or history. Is that what Krishna is saying when he says about knowledge? No. So even when I become enlightened in the way that the scriptures talk, there will be some physical things in the universe that I have no knowledge of superficially, but I will know in a sense that they are all made of one God substance, that they are made of that one Brahman, the one absolute existence, consciousness, bliss. And that is what Krishna is wanting to tell Arjuna, that once you know this knowledge, that everything is made of that one substratum, then knowing the superficial details for the first thing is not going to be necessary. But even if you want to know them, that will also become easy for you. But having understood this, then you will not be bewildered by this confusing variety that exists in the universe. You will know that behind all the variety of the universe lies the one unifying essence, which is my true nature. So that is the knowledge that Krishna is talking to when he is saying that I will give you all knowledge which is of theory and which is of practical intuitive realization. Okay. So here Krishna prefaces his forthcoming discourse. So he is setting a background basically of what he's going to explain to Arjuna, as he says, with the promise to reveal to the questioning Arjuna all the mysteries of the universe. After realizing every phase of cosmic wisdom, the devotee will become as omniscient as Krishna himself. This brings us to shloka number 3, chapter 7. मनुष्याणां सहस्रेषु कश्चित् दतति सिद्धये यत्ततामपि सिद्धानां कश्चिन्मा वेति तत्वता. सहस्त्रों मनुष्यों में कदाचित कोई एक ही आध्यात्मिक प्राप्ति के लिए प्रयास करता है, और मुझे पाने का परिश्रम पूर्वक प्रयास करने वाले सच्चे साधकों में कदाचित कोई एक ही मेरे यथार्थ स्वरूप को जानता है. Among thousands of men, perhaps one strives for spiritual attainment. And among the blessed true seekers that assiduously try to reach me, perhaps one perceives me as I am. So this appears to be a little discouraging shloka at the outset, but it is not. So because if you simply observe around yourself, as we said, how many people are actually seeking God? And of course, and this is a very, very common phenomenon. So for example, if there is a marathon race, we know that so many people will be enthusiastic in the beginning, but because it is a long race, because there are difficulties involved, so many people will keep dropping on the way, and how many will actually reach the finishing line? No, in the explanation of this shloka, Master brings in Saint Len, we know Rajarsi Janakananda, who was a great, was a businessman, yogi, and he says that, Lin once said to me that out of so many businessmen, how many truly want to be very, very successful, and how many of them actually put in the effort to be very successful? And he said that even, when if there's a group of people standing, and if a dollar bill is falling from heaven, then how many and how quickly will people jump at it? And there will be very few, or let's say just one person, who will be able to actually grab on that note, because he has that quickness of mind, he has the quickness of reflex, and he is able to hold on to it. So this is the nature when we see around. So even when if you see a tree which is blossoming, there are multiple flowers that will come on the tree. Not all flowers will give rise to fruit. Some will fall away, and only some of the flowers will give rise to fruits. And out of that also, very few flowers will give rise to very good, healthy, and fresh, full fruits. So this is the nature of this world, that because of the effort, the time that is required, the things can fall away in between, and very few who will make the effort will reach their destination. Even when you see around, when people come to want to learn meditation, they want to come on the Kriya Yoga path, they want to have Kriya Yoga Diksha. Many people come as enthusiasts, and as we progress from level 1 forward, we find that the number of people who can actually have consistency, who can actually have perseverance, who can persist on the path, and who have that real thirst of getting Kriya Yoga Diksha, of finding God, stay till the end. So we know, so what percentage is usually left is very less. And this is the truth all around us. So there is no surprise that this is happening, that firstly, people are not interested in God. Secondly, they think that he cannot be found. And thirdly, he says, oh, we'll put on so much effort, to find God. And no, most of us are like, Master says, millions are flowing with Maya. Most of the crowd is flowing in this direction. You need a heroic effort to even stop and stand apart from this flowing humanity which is going in one direction, to actually ask this question: why am I flowing the way am I flowing? Why am I doing whatever I am doing? Why was I born on earth? What is the destiny of my being? What is the purpose? Who am I really? So out of millions and billions, there are 8 billion people right now on the planet. How many are actually asking this question to themselves as to who am I? What is the reality? And to be able to even ask this question, you have to have a very clear and sharp intellect. Not only that, and then you say, okay, then you have some inkling that there's something more is happening behind the scenes. You need intense effort, intense willingness, and intense persistence to actually solve the mystery of life. How many are willing to do that? Now, people who are attending this class today, all of us at least have some degree of that thirst. At least we have some, exercise some pause in our life, and are looking in a direction which most humanity may not be looking at right now. So consider yourself blessed that you have a God realized master in your orbit right now, and we are all in human bodies which have the capability of realizing the truth. So this is a priceless moment in our life. This life itself is priceless, in the sense that this is the opportunity. We can use it as the springboard to get out into freedom. Because even though human body is the highest type of body on this planet, but it is full of so much suffering, and we want to be free from all that suffering. And therefore, utilize this moment. Know your good fortune. If you are a truth seeker, and if you have a guru in your life, use this opportunity to get out into freedom. Do not waste this life. Do not waste a single day. Do not waste any minute in doing this and that. And as a saint said, every minute is wasted that is not spent in seeking God or seeking the truth. So again, all of us are going to apply this to different degrees, but do whatever best you can from where you are, at where you are. Okay, so just a last comment on this shloka is that Krishna is not saying that, not giving this shloka to discourage all of us, but he's just pointing out that this path is difficult, that you need to have unyielding perseverance, that you need to have rock solid willpower and determination, and then you have to also have the will to surrender yourself. Now, how many people in the world want to surrender control? Hardly any. So you have to have, you have to be steel-like, and you have simultaneously you have to be flower-like, and you have to be firm with your discipline and your principles, and yet you have to be so soft in your heart to surrender all your love and all your life at the feet of the Lord. And also the spiritual path is, it's not like you are, in a desert and the oasis will come. With every step that you take, the grass will become greener. And besides, once you taste even a little bit of spiritual bliss, then petty pleasures of the world do not entice you. So this is the only way to live. Master said, you have to live anyway. Why not live the right way? So there is no choice. You might as well live the right way and have some at least bliss in your life. And thirdly, I would like to say that eventually everybody has to fight this battle. Eventually everybody has to dissolve into God. Then why not live the right life now? Why wait for another set of circumstances? Why wait for another life to bring you back again into this, mesh, and then trying to get out again? Utilize every moment right now. And God is waiting for all of us with open arms. With that thought, we will end today's class, and we will share the blessings that we have received with all souls everywhere. Let us pray together. Divine Mother, beloved Lord Krishna, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all Thy children. Manifest Thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, and all souls. Om. 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 Divine Mother, beloved Krishna, great Gurus, may Thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken Thy love in all true hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.